Hey, Formula One fans, Isaac from the Sporting Base here. This weekend, we've got a super exciting home Grand Prix for us here at Albert Park, the Australian GP. 20 of the best races descending on our home turf in Melbourne. We're going to run through, a bit of a look through at the race and a few tips that you can get on to help us through with that. We've got a good friend of the base, Blake Spriggs. Not only is he a bit of a good mind on punting, but I believe he's a very big F1 fan. Up at all hours for that, as it tends to be here in Australia. Before we get into everything, we'll have a look at the race. We'll have a look at some of the bets that you guys can get on for this Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe here to our YouTube channel. We've got racing, we've got footy, we've got F1, and you can catch up on all those videos straight away if you've got that big button ticked to subscribe. So Blake, before we get into any of those bets that you've got lined up for us, we've got a pretty exciting race. We're a couple deep now into the 2023 season. How do you see this one panning out? Another pretty easy drive for Max here at Albert Park.
Yeah, I think he's too good here. He's been dominant so far this season. It was pretty evident in testing that this was going to be a year where he was hard to beat again. He was unlucky in Jeddah last time around. He should have most certainly won that race, but he had those issues going into qualifying or going through qualifying, I should say, and it ultimately cost him the race because he was chasing Perez throughout. And I think that Red Bull had decided, basically going into that race, that Perez was going to be the one taking the lead there, and barring any accidents, Max was going to be running second. So I think we can expect Max to win home Grand Prix for Piastri. So maybe something there for him, but we can talk about that one later.
I saw leading up to this through a bit of the practice, Max said he basically only sees Perez as his opposition, and considering how the Bulls are looking, that's really no surprise. Do you think that Perez can kind of take it to Max on Sunday, or do you think it's probably not one for him to kind of challenge there?
Well, he's become a city track specialist in recent times. He's won Monaco, he won Jeddah last time out, so he's a proven driver that he gets to these street circuits where the walls are close by. Any little mistakes become very costly. So he has got a shot. I think for him, the first 3 to 5 laps is going to be interesting if he can stay in touch with Max and keep the DRS open, which we've seen this year. The DRS has been phenomenal through that Red Bull. It's made it very easy for them to overtake. So if he can keep in contact with Max in those first few laps before the DRS opens, it will allow him to certainly challenge for a win. I'm not going to write off Alonso either. He certainly doesn't have the speed, but he's just in form. He's a confident man at the moment. You can see he's walking around with a strut like he had in the old days when he was taking home championships. So he's one that, if there's a safety car at the right time and Red Bull have missed the boat there, he could gain a major advantage and be hard to hold out. But certainly he's going to need a lot of luck. But I can't help but agree with Max there. He's well and truly got this race at his mercy, and if he can avoid any trouble at all, he's very hard to beat.
Yeah, I don't think Max and Red Bull are wanting for Aussie fans, but I think if Alonso kind of came away with something here, every stand would be going nuts on Sunday afternoon. So that'd be very very welcome, I think, this early in the season. Let's get into a few of the punts that you got for us. I know that we've just spoken about Max, Perez, Alonso. You've got a few of those lines up. Take us through some of the singles that you're thinking will come off this weekend.
Yeah, so Max is $1.30 to win, so it makes it a bit hard to have an interest there. So I wanted to take a look at second and third placing, which you can take up with play up. To finish second, we've got Perez at $2.50. We just spoke about the fact that Max thinks that he's his only rival. So basically, there it looks like you're betting on him not getting past Max at some stage. So I think that if you were to take something like that, you can sit back and be pretty comfortable after 5 to 10 laps. If Max has skipped clear, Perez should be able to do the same to Alonso, and it should be a comfortable watch. In saying that, to finish third, you can get $3.50 about Alonso. If Perez skips clear, the only danger Alonso has if someone like Leclerc or Sainz finds a bit of pace, which they haven't seemed to be able to match Alonso for that pace so far. So I think the $3.50 there is really good value. And even if they do manage to get past Alonso in the early to middle stages, their tyre wear has been phenomenal in that Aston Martin this year, so they should be hitting their straps late in the race. I wanted to take Max $2.10 to get the fastest lap as well. It's pretty clear he's got the pace up his sleeve. He can basically go as quick or as slow he wants in this race. And I think if he can build a gap in the early to middle stages, you'll find he has enough time up his sleeve where he can pit for the fresh tyres and perhaps put on the fastest lap. But that's a market where I've actually had a lot of luck in the past for finding some drivers at big odds. You can find Sainz at 20-1 in the French Grand Prix last year. That was a big one for me. And I tend to look for the gaps after qualifying. I look for a car that might sort of have no one in front of them, no one behind them, close enough where they can pit fresh tyres and hit that fastest lap. But obviously qualifying being today, it makes it hard for us to give another market there. So that's why I'm going to go with Max at the $2.10.
Yeah, I don't think that's a dangerous punt at all, considering how he's looked so far, and even last season when he kind of was running away with it. How often did we see, last couple of laps he puts it in, just burns it through and gets that fastest lap. That's obviously the leaders of the pack, podiums and fastest laps. Is there anyone you've got doing anything exciting in the middle of the race or towards that tail end?
I'm actually going to go with our friend Yuki Tsunoda not to finish the race at $4.30. I think that's a pretty good bet. He's a frustrated man when things aren't going right, and that AlphaTauri just hasn't got the pace this year. They're really struggling to keep in touch with where they thought they would be at the start of the year, and he just doesn't seem to cope with the pressure of that. And I think $4.30 is a big price. Yeah, and I would certainly be having a look at that.
And on big prices, a lot of the Formula One races kind of can have a lot of things happen together. Like you said, Yuki not finishing probably leads to a safety car or something like that as well. They're always pretty good to package up. Have you got a few multis that we can kind of stretch out for the race?
Yeah, I love to have some small plays on some multis. I generally sort of stick firm with my singles and then have a small play on a multi. I think Aussies love putting a multi on. So I went a 3-leg multi. Not too much value here, but I think it brings value to some results I think are pretty certain to happen. I think I've got Max to win, Perez the podium, and a safety car to come out at $2.40. I think the safety car is a good bet. Being a street circuit, walls are close. Mistakes are bound to happen, so there's going to be a safety car. And I also looked for a multi I thought would be a bit of value, and I found a 4-leg multi: Max to win, Perez the podium, Leclerc to finish top 6, and Tsunoda not to finish, which is $10.30 with Top Sport. So that was one that sort of took my eye at a bit of value where I can have a small play and look to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, it seems like a few people might be death riding Yuki between that multi and the single. Poor fella.
I know I will be.
Yeah. While we're death riding Yuki though, obviously Aussie GP, and we've got Oscar Piastri coming in as his first home race. Shame not to have Danny Rick turning out like he has in the past, but luckily we've still got one of those hometown kids. Have you got any kind of punt for someone who wants to get on the Aussie hero?
Yeah, look, Piastri's, they're finding it hard, McLaren, this year, but $3.25 about a points finish isn't completely insane. They may be able to find a little bit of pace here, but I think if you're going to take that bet, you're looking at a safety car at the right time for Piastri. If you can pit during that time and make up a few placings, he can certainly finish in the points, and $3.25 is not a bad price, and you can sit there and cheer on the Aussie, which we all love to do.
Yeah, I actually got on this one the other day. I was looking at how I could just put a punt on Piastri just to have something riding with him. And yeah, points look the most likely considering McLaren's been a bit off the boil so far this year. I did have a bit of a peek at top 6, but I don't think that one's going to come off. So I think yeah, points is probably the best one there. Yeah, that's a nice little bet slip for us to get on for the Sunday Arvo. I know I'm certainly going to be enjoying the fact that it's an Arvo lights out and away we go this time around. Often a lot of late night 1 a.m.s and things like that with a tea. So being able to park up at the bolo with a beer at 3 p.m. is quite the nice treat. Thanks for coming in to have a bit of a chat, Blake, about the bets for it all. Hopefully we're cheering come 5 or 6 tea time on Sunday. And yeah, if everyone's still around, just a reminder, subscribe to that. Footy, racing, Formula One are all the videos we've got coming out on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.